Hello everyone, Sergio with the RideShare Guy. Well, this is it. This is the final part. I was going to do a 7-part series, but then I caught something else at the end of the interview that we did with Mr. Dara Khosrowshahi, the CEO of Uber for the past 7 years. He hasn't graced us with his presence yet, but fingers crossed. It's been 2 years. Mr. Khosrowshahi, I met you in November. We had a great conversation. A private conversation too, to a point, obviously. And honestly, my impression was that you would come on, show me the money, and talk to our audience. I mean, we have grown immensely. Hundreds of thousands of drivers are listening to us, and I think we have a pretty decent voice, and I think we could both learn enough from each other during that interview. But again, open invitation. Whenever you can have a spare half hour, 45 minutes of your day for us, you can come on. We don't have to do it live on YouTube. You can always fly me to San Francisco and then I can sit down with you and, I'll interview you. I think that would be awesome. And maybe we'll have lunch at the cafeteria at the Uber headquarters. But all joking aside, open invitation, sir. So, I was going to finish this, as I said, with 7 parts. Well, now after listening to the interview again that Harry Campbell did with Mr. Khosrowshahi 2 years ago, when upfront fares were being introduced nationwide, actually Harry asked a pertinent question. He said, what should the commission be?
Reasons has been increasing. So it's not a strict pass-through in any way, shape, or form. But when I look at our economics, post insurance, again, it's not a direct pass through, et cetera. That's not how we price. We think that something in the 20% range is fair. It's less than the 30% that Apple charges, et cetera.
Yeah.
And we think that's a general number that is a fair number. What shows up as higher, but the major reason why it's higher to some extent is the cost of insurance that we have to bear as well. So I think that's something else the driver should keep in mind.
Well, first of all, I don't think, that word has been used for, a decade. Initially, they used to call it commission. Now they call it service charge, right? Which we, in our lingo, driver world, is the take rate, right? So according to both companies, by the way, this is not just the Uber-specific thing. Lyft does this too. Uber and Lyft say, well, before we split whatever's left over, we'll have to take our expenses out. I disagree. First of all, their major sticking point or expenses are in commercial insurance, according to Uber. Uber says commercial insurance rates have gone through the roof, specifically in California, where I live. I know because my personal insurance rate policy has gone up by 45% just this year, right? I have to eat that. Am I making more with upfront fares by that much to cover that cost? No. However, Uber constantly complains that, their commercial insurance rates have gone up, although incidents are down. Mr. Khosrowshahi, you did 2.7 billion trips, Uber did globally last quarter. I listened to every one of the earnings calls. By the way, you're extremely, extremely smooth on these conference calls with analysts. However, out of the 2.7 billion trips, you're buying insurance. This is mandated, by the way. It's not that you're doing it because you're providing riders and drivers with a peace of mind. It's because you have to. As a TNC, according to TNC regulations, you have to buy commercial insurance on period 1, period 2, period 3. Well, we know period 1 is like Swiss cheese. Basically, there is no coverage. Period 2, coverage kicks in. Period 3 is where the most coverage is in, with a rider in the car, and with a $2,500 deductible, which used to be $1,000. So my thing is, if you're insuring 2.7 billion trips, I would think the more you buy, the less the cost is going to be. I guess not. Now, I'm not an insurance expert, but I think there's a lot of shenanigans going on with commercial insurance line item on every receipt, because these days I've seen receipts now that from, I'm sure you know LA, Mr. Khosrowshahi, a trip from West Hollywood to Disneyland on a single trip, commercial insurance was $50. I am not sure. I know it's by miles probably, but I don't think from West Hollywood to Disneyland is 50 miles. So I mean, if Uber is paying $1.50 a mile for commercial insurance, then I don't know. I guess we should go buy insurance company stocks. Besides the point, here's the deal. You said, after all that, your expenses. Now, you on the previous episode, you said that as drivers, we are small businesses. Okay, and we try to educate our community as such. We try to teach them how to figure out their cost per mile, because everybody's car is different. Everybody's cost per mile is going to be different. Some people drive newer cars. Some people drive beaters on the system. I don't know. Or some people drive hybrids. It's going to fluctuate wildly, right? So as business people, we have expenses. And you admitted that on the last snippet that we put up on part 7 of the 8-part series. Well, you're a business too. And in fact, you're a public company. However, you don't care about my expenses, right? You're not paying for my expenses. As a TNC, you must provide commercial insurance. Those are the laws, okay? And if it wasn't, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't do it. But what I'm trying to say is that why do you get to deduct all of your expenses before you come up with the service charge? We're simple-minded people, to a point. Here's my calculation, Mr. Koshoshai, as far as the take rate is concerned. Rider pays 100. Driver makes 50. Okay? What is the take rate? 50%. But Uber says, no, we don't look at it that way. Our take rate is only 20%, which we think is fair, which what you said in this snippet. And you said it's been pretty consistent. We do enough trips. We did 2.7 billion trips. If we take 20% as a service fee, or the commission, whatever you want to call it, we're happy with that. Well, what has happened is that, though, you deducted your own expenses out of that $100. I don't think that's kosher. So drivers are looking at this as, the rider paid 100, Uber paid me 50, Uber took $50, Uber took 50%. Now, we can massage these numbers anywhere we like, any way we like. Because that $50 that we ended up grossing is our revenue. We have expenses as well. But do I complain to you or come to Uber and say, oh, by the way, my personal insurance rates, which I have to have a policy to get onboarded as a driver, as you know, Mr. Koshoshai, just this year in 2024 is up 40%. Am I coming and telling you, oh, but now you have to pay me a little bit more because my insurance rates have gone up? But you're doing that on our side, right? You're saying, well, our expenses have gone up. That's why the take rate looks like it's 50%, but it's really not. It's only 20%. Well, again, I'll ask our audience to finish this video with, what do you guys think? What do you guys think Uber's take rate is? Is it 50%, 20%, 10%? What is it? I think the numbers speak for themselves. I shouldn't be responsible for Uber's expenses. And Uber is not responsible for my expenses, right? So with all that said, please join us. This is the guaranteed final video of the 8-part series of Sergio's Diaries. Please join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on Show Me the Money Club. We will educate you, we will inform you, and we will sometimes entertain you. You all stay extremely healthy out there, and please, please stay safe.